So there's this story of a family who went to the mortuary in Abia State to get the remains of their loved one for burial, only to find out that his private part, his penis, was missing. So this was said to have happened some days back, and I did a video on it on my YouTube, but at the time there was no original footage from the incident itself, so we had to rely on abstract images. However, somebody reached out to me and sent me the video of the incident, and boy oh boy oh boy, who is wanting to hear about it is another thing to see it in the video. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you guys everything because I don't know how the social media would react to it. But if you want to see the full video, you would have to go to our Telegram page. But for those of you who don't know the story, apparently it turned out that this said family had lost their son, a young man, and they had kept him at the mortuary. I think the mortuary was between Abia State and one other state like that. So it's between two villages along an expressway. So when they went to get the body finally for burial, usually for mortuaries, they would prepare the deceased in a casket already. So they are going to get the final display product of their loved one in his resting place, like pretty much in a casket, dressed up, made up, so he's already covered. However, when the family were about to take this young man home for burial, something dawned on them to check, and they started inspecting the body. That was when they realized that his penis has been chopped off, as well as his tongue. Some other sources claimed eyes too, but I don't know. We mostly got to hear about tongue and penis. And in the video, you could see the people physically, attacking the Morticians. About 3 men who works at the mortuary. So they were being held accountable. They were being asked what happened. They were being beaten by the community boys. Luckily for them, they weren't killed. The police came just in time and they were arrested. And they were questioned as to what happened to this dead man's penis. And all they could say was that rats ate them. That was their defense. That was their story. That was their explanation as to why a loved one in their care had his penis chopped off. They say that it was rats who ate it. Now, it will make sense though. For those of you who may feel like, okay, this is far-fetched, most of these village, or should I say local mortuaries, are not exactly standard. They are not exactly, the ones we see on TV with the fridge where everybody is refrigerated. These local mortuaries rely on local materials to preserve bodies. If you see videos and footages from some local mortuaries in the villages, you'll see body being piled up like stack of stockfish in a way. It's gory, it's disturbing, it's not the best sights you want to see. It's one of those things that tell you don't Google, because it's not the best, most ideal way of seeing a loved one. That is why by the time you're getting ready for burial, your loved one is already prepared in a casket. You don't want to know how they are being cared for, prepared, or stored. So when you see the way they are being stored in these local mortuaries, you are sort of inclined to believe that there is that possibility a rat would come in and eat parts of their body. Because I know rats eats people even when you're alive. I went to boarding school. Rats used to eat up people, obviously, but before it gets to that point where they'll chop off your whole penis, come on, you would have woken up a little bit. But this is a dead person we're talking about, so clearly it's nothing to them. That is why it's believable that a rat would have done that. Very believable, very possible. But this is where a lot of people started doubting, because the deceased tongue was also chopped off, as well as the eyes, allegedly too. So if a rat would have succeeded in going to the private part, which is easily exposed, what about the tongue? How did they go to the eye? Because I know those parts are normally sealed closed or covered up with cotton wool. So it is confusing, and that is where many people kind of have their doubts that a rat would have done that. At the same time, many people believe that it's not a rat, that the mortuary people knew what they were doing. They have most likely sold it out for rituals or for things that they usually use it for, maybe medicine or herbs. And it dawned on me that there's a possibility that people whose loved one had been kept there may have also been victims of their body parts being, chopped off. And I guess this is just time for the people to be exposed. And I think this is why it's usually important for people to go check on their loved ones. If you have a loved one who is deceased, once a while before the day of the funeral, check it. Because these people will be doing the most diabolic things you can ever imagine. It's like, what are you doing with a dead man's penis? Because it's ridiculous. If they did in fact cut it themselves, then obviously this is some ritual bullshit, and it's troubling, it's disturbing, it's horrifying, it's so unprofessional. The mortuary was not attacked. From what I hear, people who had their loved ones there had gone to quickly get them out. And the mortuary is currently on lockdown. It has been locked up. And I guess they are being investigated. I don't know. It's just sickening though. It's unfortunate. The deceased man was eventually buried like that without his penis and tongue. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't really need them anymore. So it's unfortunate though. And it's just a traumatizing thing. And I feel like nowadays more people should be aware of what this local mortuaries, many of them, would practice.